I get asked a lot by homeowners, especially new homeowners that have come into the Cape Winelands from other places, why it is that their Fynbos is dying. Now, again, Fynbos is just a generic term, and what they're talking about is Proteas. Now, people forget that this area is actually Renosterveld. It's not Proteaceous Fynbos. You can grow Proteas here, but a lot of people make a few mistakes, and I thought I'd just cover those today. In my hands, I've got all sugar bush Protea repens. This is one of the ones we grew in the nursery from seed last year, and it's ready to go into the soil. You'll see that it's very different to a Protea you'd buy in the nursery, for the simple reason that most of those are actually grown from cuttings. This one is grown from seed. Now, the difference being, when a plant is grown from seed, it throws down a taproot. From a cutting, it can't. It only throws lateral roots. That means that most of the nursery Proteas and what have you have got very shallow roots, whereas these will drive all the way down to the water table. Now, beginning of summer, so we won't have much rain anymore, so we are watering them. Now, typically, your Proteas, your true Proteas, grow on slopes up in the mountains, and they grow on very poor soils. If you look around here, you'll see the soils are very poor, and it's on a slope, which is why I'm planting them here. Most of Val de Vie, though, is on the old riverbed, so it's flat. So they're very prone to waterlogging or getting wet feet, and they don't like that. They like a well-drained soil. So don't plant a Protea in a hole in clay. It won't survive. It might survive for a year or two, but then it'll die off. Leucadendrons, leucospurnums, and other proteaceous plants actually do better here than pure blood Proteas. The other mistake people make is they mix them in with plants that need a lot more water. These guys are uniquely developed that during winter, when it rains, they actually put up very fine root hairs up to the surface, and they grab the water there. During the hot, dry summers, those root hairs die off, but the roots deep underground, they're still taking in water. If you mix them in with, let's say, roses or one of these other plants that are very water thirsty, again, during the summer, wet feet, you're going to get fungal diseases. They won't survive. These guys are uniquely designed for this area. Now, when you plant a Protea, don't plant it with compost. They don't like nitrogen, and most composts you buy are high in nitrogen, which is why they make plants respond so well. A little bit of phosphate maybe, but even then, not necessary. We actually grow them in a very poor soil, whereas nursery plants, of course, are being cosseted in the nursery in tunnels and what have you, so they're actually very, very fragile. These guys aren't. You could play rugby with this, it would survive. So give your plant a chance to acclimatize. Leave it in the pot in your garden for a week. That way it can harden up a bit, and then plant it. Because if you plant it straight away, it really does go into shock. Plants are a bit like humans in that respect. Once the Protea or Leucadendron, leucospurnum is taken, remember, trim it after about a year. Don't trim it in the first year. When you trim, cut it a 45-degree angle. Once it's bloomed for the first time, you can deadhead it. But again, 45-degree angle. That will give you a bushier plant. More bush, more flower heads. In the wild, they would have had animals browsing on them, elephants, rhinos, that sort of thing. So you and your secateurs are just doing a natural job. Okay, I hope that helps a bit. Just remember, Proteas don't like weeding around them. They don't disturb the roots. So rather hand pull any weeds when they're very young. Try to grow them in isolation. And as I say, watch the water and fertilizer. You can kill them by kindness. So this little guy's going to go in, and hopefully in a couple of years' time we'll have quite a good showing of Proteas on the slope here. Okay, thanks again for your time. As always, any questions, suggestions, comments, feel free to put them in, and we'll try and answer them or take them up.